This is the story of a man who went from the dusty roads of Daura to the powerful seat of Nigeria's presidency. A man many know as a former military ruler, and later as a democratically elected president. But behind the politics, the controversies, and the power, who really is Muhammadu Buhari? Let's take a deep dive into the life of a man who shaped Nigeria's modern history in more ways than one. Childhood and early life. Muhammadu Buhari was born on December 17, 1942, in Daura, a small town in Katsina State, northern Nigeria. He was the 23rd child of his father, Malam Hardo Adamu, a Fulani chief, and his mother, Zulaihat. Sadly, his father died when Buhari was just 4 years old. Despite growing up in a humble environment, Buhari stood out early for his discipline and quiet determination. He began his education at Daura and Maiadua primary schools, before attending Katsina Middle School, and later the prestigious Katsina Provincial Secondary School, the same school that produced many northern elites. Military career. In 1961, young Buhari joined the Nigerian Military Training College. He later trained at the Mons Officer Cadet School in the UK, and later the Defence Services Staff College in India. From a young age, he was described as strict, disciplined, and focused, perfect traits for military service. He played key roles in several critical moments in Nigeria's history, including the 1966 counter-coup and the Nigerian Civil War, also known as the Biafra War. He rose through the ranks quickly, eventually becoming the military governor of the northeastern state in 1975, and later the Federal Commissioner for Petroleum under General Obasanjo's regime. In fact, Buhari was the first head of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC. Military head of state. On December 31, 1983, Buhari became Nigeria's head of state through a military coup that overthrew President Shehu Shagari's civilian government. Why? According to Buhari and his fellow officers, Nigeria was drowning in corruption, economic mismanagement, and indiscipline. Buhari's short regime was marked by a strong war against indiscipline, so WWAI. Nigerians were forced to queue properly, be punctual, and respect national symbols. However, while some saw him as a no-nonsense patriot, others saw him as a dictator. Journalists were jailed, politicians were arrested and tried in military tribunals. Critics called it too harsh, but supporters called it necessary cleansing. In August 1985, just 20 months later, General Ibrahim Babangida overthrew Buhari in yet another coup. After the coup, Buhari was imprisoned in Benin City. He spent 3 years in detention without trial. During this time, he refused to compromise or beg for release, showing the same tough character he had always been known for. When he was eventually released, Buhari stepped away from the spotlight. But little did anyone know, he wasn't done with Nigeria yet. Returned to politics in 2003, 2007, and 2011, Muhammadu Buhari ran for president and lost. Each time he cried foul and accused the system of being rigged. Some people mocked him, saying he would never win. But in 2015, at the age of 72, Buhari made a historic comeback. Backed by a powerful coalition called APC, All Progressives Congress, and riding on the promise of change, he defeated incumbent President Goodluck Jonathan. It was the first time in Nigeria's history that a sitting president was defeated peacefully at the polls. Buhari became a democratically elected president, over 30 years after ruling as a military head of state. As President Buhari's presidency, which lasted 2 terms, 2015-2023, was full of highs and lows. He launched an aggressive anti-corruption campaign, fought Boko Haram in the northeast, and invested in major infrastructure projects like railways and roads. But there were also challenges. Nigeria faced economic recessions, rising insecurity, inflation, and youth unemployment. Some people praised him for his integrity and calm leadership. Others accused him of being too slow, too old, and out of touch. But no matter which side of the argument you stand on, one thing is clear. Muhammadu Buhari made history twice, once with boots and once with ballots. On May 29, 2023, Muhammadu Buhari handed over power to Bola Ahmed Tinubu and quietly returned to his hometown in Daura, where it all began. From soldier to prisoner to president, his story is one of patience, principle, and persistence. You may agree with his policies, or you may not, but you can't deny the fact that Muhammadu Buhari is one of the most influential Nigerians of all time. Personal life. Buhari is married to Aisha Buhari, Nigeria's former First Lady. They have several children together, and Buhari is known to be a private and deeply religious man. He is a devout Muslim and has lived a modest lifestyle compared to many Nigerian politicians. He avoids alcohol, keeps to himself, and is known for being disciplined in his daily routines. On Sunday, July 13, 2025, Muhammadu Buhari passed away in a hospital in London at the age of 82 after a period of illness. News of his death was met with a wave of emotions across Nigeria. Condolences poured in from leaders around the world, while flags flew at half-mast in honor of the man who once led the country both as a soldier and a civilian. His body was flown back to Nigeria, where he was buried on July 15th in his hometown of Daura, Katsina State, according to Islamic rites. Thousands gathered to pay their final respects, from political allies and military veterans to ordinary citizens who simply came to say goodbye. It was a solemn moment in Nigerian history, the farewell of a man who spent most of his life serving his country, in war and in peace. Muhammadu Buhari, soldier, governor, prisoner, prophet of change, has now passed into history. His influence remains woven into Nigeria's story, unfinished, debated, and enduring. Let us reflect together. Was Buhari's legacy defined more by his discipline or by his shortcomings? Share your thoughts, and thank you for joining this tribute.